Good evening, my queen bosses and king bosses that are tuning into this episode of Family, Friends, Framily, and Relatives. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen into our podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and share our podcast. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about the show. Let us know what topics you have in mind. Let us know if there's anything that we've discussed that we haven't discussed that you would like to hear. Before we get into tonight's topic, I want to give you a round of applause, like always, for being so awesome, so amazing, and so supportive of our podcast. We appreciate you. We love you, wherever you are. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's get started on this topic tonight. So a couple of weeks ago, we did a podcast talking about boundaries, how you set boundaries, how you establish them. Do you incorporate boundaries with your friends and your family? And do you think it's important? A couple of days ago, I was actually scrolling down Instagram, and a good friend of mine has a weekly topic that she does, and she was actually discussing, should you continue to deal with family who is toxic? And I immediately thought about the discussion that we had a couple of weeks ago about setting boundaries with your family and your friends. So I started to contemplate that topic a little bit more and dive into what those titles mean: family, friends, relatives, and framily. We did miss last week's podcast due to the craziness with Hurricane Dorian that was heading our way in Florida, as well as the Bahamas. So before we get into before we get into the basis of the podcast, I just want to remind you all to pray for those in the Bahamas. They suffered a lot of damage. A lot of people have passed away and lost everything that they have due to the hurricane. Some parts of the Bahamas were completely destroyed. Nothing left standing. They have no food, no clothes, nothing basically. So they're basically like starting over. So if there's any donation locations in your state, in your city, have any food, clothes, toiletries, not perishables, monetary donations that you can provide to those in need in the Bahamas, they appreciate it. We appreciate it. Keep them in your prayers. If nothing, they are definitely going through a major rough time in the Bahamas. Okay, so let's get right into our podcast. So I was doing some research as usual on the titles that we're discussing tonight. So I want to give you just a brief overview of what those terms mean. So the first term is family. Everybody has a family. We all come from a family, or else we wouldn't be here, right? So the Webster's Dictionary of Family is a basic social unit consisting of parents and their children, considered as a group, whether dwelling together or not. Traditional family. The adjective would be of, or relating to, or characteristic of a family. Relatives. Relative is a person who is connected with another or others by blood or marriage. Something having or standing in some relation or connection to something else. Okay. Friend. A friend is a person attached to another by feelings of affection or personal regard. A person who gives assistance, patron, or a supporter. A person who is on good terms with another. A person who is not hostile. And the last term is Framily, which I actually could not find in the Webster's dictionary, of course. I had to go to the Urban Dictionary to find that meaning. And their meaning of Framily is when friends become like family, their family. Closer than close, they may know you better than your own family. Okay, so also is friends are blood relatives who would actually choose to be related because their relationship is mutually respectful, close, supportive, and affectionate. The favorite people in our lives who would include in our family, whether they are blood related or not, typically because we love them. Okay, so let's just talk about those terms and what they mean, the dynamic of it. And the podcast that we did last week relating to boundaries, and the most recent discussion that my friend had on her page about toxic family members being in your life. So my first question is, do you feel like because someone is your family that you should continue to communicate with them or allow them in your space if they have negative characteristics, traits, or energy because they're family? I know that there is a lot of emphasis on loyalty, especially when it comes to the family dynamic. The way that I was raised was that no matter what a person does to you who is your family, you still love them unconditionally. You still interact with them. You still basically deal with them regardless. But in my adult life, I don't necessarily find that to be accurate for me. I don't feel like just because we are family that I should allow your actions or your behavior in my life if I do not agree with it. Right? There are people and families that actually do not like one another. There are sisters that don't like one another. There are cousins that don't like one another. There are brothers who do not like one another. And this happens all the time. So just because you're family does not mean that you have to like the person or you have to deal with the person. You are family because you have the same parents, you were birthed together, you grew up together, and that's what made you family. And you became related because of that reason. And we don't get to choose what family we're going to birth into or be a part of. It just naturally happens, right? Friends are people that we meet along our journey of life throughout the experiences that we go through. There are friends that we encounter that we become closer to than our sisters or our cousins or our brothers or our aunts or our mothers. There are people who grew up in a household with their mom and their dad, and they may meet someone later on in life who's older than them and like a mother to them. So they may call that person mom or dad. Or you may meet someone that you encounter and you just actually connect really well. And maybe you didn't have a sister or brother growing up, or maybe you did and you just really did not get along. And you've met someone who's ideally the person that you would have picked as your sister or your brother if you could have, and you develop that sisterhood or that brotherhood that's stronger than your actual family, your blood sister, or your blood brother, or your blood auntie, or your blood cousin, etc. You get it, right? So what really makes us family? Because we're born into that household. If I meet someone and we develop a great relationship and we've been around each other for 20 years and I'm more open with them than my own sister or my own brother, in my opinion, that's my family. If something happens to them, I would have the same reaction if it were someone who is my biological brother or sister or blood relative aunt, right? And then it could be somebody in my family that we're just different. We just don't vibe. We just don't get along. We don't talk. We don't hang out. We don't do any of that. It's like, that's your mom. She's my aunt. You're her daughter. That makes you my cousin. Or you're her son. That makes you my cousin. And that's pretty much it. Nothing more, nothing less. No communication, no bond, no relationship, no mourning, sympathy, empathy. If anything tragic were to happen to that person. So what determines family? What determines Framily? And do you have to accept any type of treatment or behavior from these people just because they're your family? Now, going back to the definition of relative, a relative could be someone that you're connected with by marriage. My brother could marry someone who becomes my sister-in-law, and she is a better sister-in-law than my biological sister is. And we are relatives by marriage. So we're related by marriage. And that's the only way, the only reason. But we are still relatives because she is married to my brother or my sister or my aunt or my uncle, which makes you a part of my family, right? Friends. So when I think about friends, I think about someone who is supportive, like the definition says, who gives assistance, who is there no matter what, who doesn't judge you, who you can tell your most deepest, darkest secrets to, someone that you can share your highs and your lows, just someone that's genuinely there for you no matter what. And now we're going to go back to family. Because the basic definition of family says it's a social unit consisting of parents and their children, considered as a group, whether dwelling together or not. So, your family is going to consist of your parents and their children. And your family, whether you live together or not. Because that's what a basic unit consists of, whether it's a traditional family or a single parent family with just the mom and the kids, or just the dad and the kids, or maybe it's just wife and husband. They don't have any kids yet, but they still are family because they have joined in union, and they create their family, brother, their children, which becomes brother and sisters, and that makes them related. And then Framily, which is a new trending word these days. Your family is your friends who become family. Now they're your Framily. So it's your friend who has turned into someone just like your family, someone that you would die for, fight for, lie for, go to bat for, have their back right or wrong, regardless, whatever. They're going down, you're right there with them. That's what family is. Holidays, kids, birthdays, celebrations, your family is there to support you. And there are instances where your friend would probably support you before your actual family would. And that's just the way that it goes sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just life. We all encounter people that we can be around or not be around people that you would say, I don't think I would hang around this person. I don't think I would want to chill with this person or invite this person over to my house. But because they're your family, you feel obligated. Like I'm not going to say that we all in our family. So I'm going to say that we all know somebody who may know somebody who may know somebody that has an aunt that is just wild and crazy, or an uncle who is maybe the drunk in the family, or a cousin who is just a Debbie Downer, or an uncle who is always creating drama and starting stuff and keeping things going in the family and their family. And you don't want to be around that person. You don't talk to that person unless it's a family function and the conversation is very short. So if this person was not your aunt, uncle, brother, sister, or cousin, you wouldn't interact with them outside of family functions. So why does society place this obligation on us to interact with people because we are family or relatives? Why? Why do I have to talk to you if you are someone that I wouldn't talk to if you were not my cousin or you were not my sister? So because we're tied by blood, then I should interact with you. But I have a friend who is positive, uplifting, supportive, can talk to about anything, and appreciates you for the small things, right? And this person you would go to bat for, and you would have them in your life regardless. But this person is just your friend. You met them, you've been kicking it for like 10, 20 years, 5 years, whatever the time may be in the relationship. But this person is genuinely like a great person and someone that you would always have around because of the energy that they bring. And that's the same thing that you desire in your family structure. So those are the people that you should have around you, whether they're family or not. I don't feel like we should be obligated to continue to be with people, or be around people, I should say, that we don't necessarily like, to be honest, right? That's your aunt, you don't like her. That's your uncle, you don't like her. That's your cousin, you don't like her. That's your mom, you don't like her. We're not going to sugarcoat it and act like we love everybody that's in our family. Okay, I'm going to say that we like everybody that's in our family. We may still love them. We just don't like them. But just because that is your mom, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, doesn't mean that this person is perfect and doesn't have traits and character flaws that you prefer not to have in your space. So it's okay not to talk to that person, or not to deal with that person, or not to have that person in your space. And if you have friends that have characteristics that you relate to, that you take pride in, that relate to your idea of a great person, it's okay to be like, this is my sister, that's my brother, yeah, that's my aunt, or that's mom or dad, whether it's someone you've known for a few years or a short amount of time. You can tell right away what type of person a person is, like in the first few minutes of being around them, family or not. So should you allow family with toxic traits to continue to be in your life and in your space? That's definitely something to think about, something to take into consideration, and something to evaluate. It doesn't mean that you don't love that person or you hate them. You just don't want to deal with the bad parts. And people don't change for you. They change for themselves. And older people definitely don't change. They're set in their ways. They're who they are. And that's pretty much it. So you're not going to change this person at all. You're not going to change their thought process. You're not going to change their habits. You're not going to change who they are. So you either adjust and accept, or you don't. And it's just that simple. And I'm sure it will save you a lot of stress and disappointment and headaches and all the other draining energies that come along with having draining, toxic people in your space. And that is all that I have for tonight. I actually went over a lot longer than I wanted to, but it's been a while since I have been on here. So again, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for taking out time to tune in. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment on our podcast. Leave us a comment about tonight's shows, future shows, past shows, your thoughts on tonight, your family, your friends, your Framily, and your relatives, and maybe how you've handled toxic family members and what you suggest in those situations. So I am going to really get off. You all have a great evening, a good rest of the week, a good rest of the month. Protect your energy, protect your space, protect your mind, protect your heart, and protect your soul. And take care of yourself. Put yourself first, no matter what. Love you guys. Bye.